JB Illusion here with the new trailer for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2! You rat sucker! Born a Crime, clan introductions. Okay.
I used to love the summer. How the sun brings everything to life. Now it just mocks me.
Have we seen this room?
I thought I died, but I feel even more alive. Faster, stronger.
Powerful.
I want to run, hunt, feed. But what I saw, am I at the bottom of this food chain?
Wait, what? What did you see? Was it Diablerie? Was he...
Okay, keep cool. But this thirst...
You gotta do it, man.
It's killing me.
He's gotta feed. With the same ability from the trailer.
Keep cool.
Keep cool. The Thin Bloods are an official clan in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and we got some pre-alpha gameplay. Hey, we see the bats. I'm pretty excited for this. We're gonna jump over to the official website and talk about some things. There's some more updates. So the Bloodlines 2 official website has actually been updated. So let's take a look and see what they've done for our thin-blooded friends, who are now the first official clan. There we go. They've actually been added. So we've got Thin Blood. I have a fairly good idea as to who this might involve. And there's a couple others. There's two of these in particular that kind of, you know, bug me out a little bit. We'll talk about those maybe towards the end of this video. Let's dive into the Thin Bloods, and how better to do that than clicking on the Thin Blood in the clans. So Thin Bloods are an officially recognized clan. I don't know if that means that we're going to be able to play throughout the entire game as a Thin Blood. Well, let's read on and see what we can find out about them. Seattle has generally attracted a younger crowd, and some of them unfortunately wind up on the streets of the city. For the Kindred, the Thin Bloods are their own version of street kids, and in recent years their numbers have grown at what some might consider an alarming rate. Is that just because of the general thinning of the blood, or is there someone causing that, or a specific group? We know about the story, and our character was part of a mass embrace, and I'm assuming there are other Thin Bloods among that group. So, interesting. Is someone trying to sow some discontent? Despite being permitted in the city, many Thin Bloods don't survive very long. Well, they're permitted in the city, so I feel like that's kind of a little bit better than what was going on in the original Bloodlines with E and Lily and Rosa. There was one of them, I'm not entirely sure who, came out and talked about the fact that, you know, they were being hunted in the streets. They were fair game for Kindred who felt like going after them, whether it be because they thought that they were going to be the cause of Gehenna, which is an entirely another situation, or just because they didn't like them. Interesting. With little understanding of what they are or the rules of Kindred society, they face a struggle to simply exist in a city carved up by the established political factions. So they're going to be alright as long as they follow the Masquerade, but they have no one to teach them the Masquerade or tell them where they are overstepping whatever political boundaries. Many are killed, yep, when they pose a threat to the Masquerade. So you get turned into a Thin Blood, you're out in the streets, hey, look bro, I got fangs, I don't know what's going on, and then you get a visit from the local sheriff. Not too fun. A few find work as grunts and runners for the less scrupulous denizens of Seattle. It's not unheard of for a Thin Blood to gain enough respect to earn a more prominent role in a faction. Intriguing. But they are rarely shown the same respect or legal standing a full-blooded clan member enjoys. So what's interesting is that in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, there was actually a group of caitiff who were part of the Sabbat. During a big old civil war with the Sabbat, there was a guy by the name of Joseph Ponder, I think, who actually elevated himself among the Sabbat and then later kind of had an official clan for all the caitiff, for all the people who were shunned by their clans to join in. Will we actually be able to do that if we stay as a Thin Blood in this game? Actually create kind of a safe haven, kind of an official group among the Camarilla or Sabbat. I'm assuming this is going to be Camarilla. It would be interesting if at the end of the game, we were in charge of either all the Thin Bloods in this area, and we kind of gave them shelter, at least taught them the rules of the Masquerade. It would also be interesting if we could become the prince of the city as a Thin Blood, but I don't think that'll happen. But it also, well, no, it could happen. It might. We'll see. It's a hard, short life for most Thin Bloods in Seattle, but it's also a city of opportunity for the few that can navigate their way into the higher circles of vampire society. So maybe, just maybe, a Thin Blood prince. Interesting. Born a Crime, we've already watched that and given a little talk. Now let's check out the disciplines. So in a previous video I talked about Thin Blood alchemy. It doesn't seem like we're going to be using that. It seems like it's just going to be straight up, hey, this is what you've got, or these are your disciplines. So we have Chiropteran, one of my favorite words to say. This Thin Blood discipline calls on the vampire's strong affinity to bats, allowing her to move through the air and summon swarms. I do believe the discipline, spoiler alert, from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 1, or one of the abilities that the sheriff used on us was like called Chiropteran Horror or something. Glide is Chiropteran's first active power and can be enhanced by investing in the dot slots, or just investing in the second ability or the second power slot. Okay, so Glide gently lowers the weight of the vampire skeleton muscle mass to allow them to float on updrafts, reaching otherwise inaccessible areas. Okay, so that's going to be something nice for us moving throughout the city. And depending on how we decide to play, maybe we'll access those more... depending on how we play, maybe we have a more stealthy approach. So maybe that'll be a lot more valuable as opposed to someone who just, runs in guns and starts shooting up the place. The vampire can swoop into onto an NPC to knock them down, pounce on their enemies far below, or use the height advantage to rain down disciplines from afar. Intriguing. We also have Bat Swarm that I thought was something in animalism, but I'm digging this. So it's a blood cost of 2. The second active power allows the vampire to summon a small swarm of bats to attack a target NPC, temporarily disabling them and dealing low damage. The 4 and 5 slots grow this power until a true maelstrom of leathery wings surrounds the vampire, harrying and damaging any enemy who dares come too close. Ooh. Okay, I'm digging Glide because that's going to be probably one of our chief travel powers, and it just sounds incredible for just a running gun playstyle, or just, kind of a keep away, maybe some Tremere fun. So we have Mentalism. The Thin Blood discipline allows the vampire to manipulate objects with telekinesis, allowing them to even pull weapons from the enemy's hands. We've seen this. Awesome. So pull has a cost of 0 or 1. So that's really intriguing. So is it going to cost, if we invest into, let's say, pull 2 or pull 3, is that going to lower the cost from 1 to 0, or does it depend on the object that we're using it on? Whether that's an inconvenient obstacle, okay, or the knife in the hands of the NPC bearing down on them. Second slot upgrades pull even further, so maybe it depends on what item we're using it on. If it's just to grab like a piece of paper that, I don't know, the venture wants from some businessman, we just whoop, and we get that, and it'll cost 0 because we're not really affecting another person. But if it's to take a gun from the bodyguard of that businessman who saw what we just did, that might cost a blood point. Interesting. Next we have Levitate. The second active power suspends a living NPC. Awesome. Its strength can be enhanced with the 4 and is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots until the vampire can levitate everyone and everything in an area and throw suspended enemies around like ragdoll. So, yeah. Thin Bloods ain't looking too weak right now. I mean, that's got nothing on some Tremere stuff, but that's pretty awesome. Nebulation. The Thin Blood disciplines allow the vampire to call on her affinity to mist, allowing her to summon and command it. Mist Shrouded. Blood cost is 2. Nebulation's first active power envelops the vampire with mist for a short time, muffling footsteps and making them slightly harder to notice. Not obfuscate, but okay. In addition, the vampire can partially transform into mist for 1 invocation to either perform a choking attack, dude, on an NPC or travel through tight spaces. The slot enhances these powers even further with the second slot. That's definitely a defensive. Not a defensive, that's definitely kind of like a sneaky playstyle. For me, if I, get the opportunity, it's going to be probably a lot into mentalism. But let's check out the last ability. So, Blood cost 3, Envelop. The second active creates a stationary swirling cloud of mist that surrounds, blinds, and forcefully enters the lungs of the NPC that touch it. It and Mist Shroud both can be further improved by the 4 and 5 slots. Oh man, it just looks like Nebulation mixed with a little bit of that Chiropteran glide can set you up pretty nicely. You could figure yourself into, like, let's say the roof, take somebody out, choke them out with that Envelop, or maybe you just use that Mist Shroud, and it sounds pretty awesome. Even the fact that, for 1 invocation, you can either perform a choking attack or travel through tight spaces. I'm digging that. You hit that, you sneak up on somebody, and you could either maybe disappear with that to get into some tight spaces and maybe get yourself out of a not great situation, or you're about to be caught while you're sneaking. Or you could just say, screw it and knock somebody out. I like that. I'm digging that quite a bit. Now let's go back to the game information. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Because Nebulation and like Chiropteran to me are definitely kind of a sneaky play style, whereas Mentalism is a little bit more offensive. Like you're going in to jack up some fools. Now, this is probably the thing that a lot of people aren't like digging. So Thin Bloods took up a slot. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on day 1. Maybe there's going to be a DLC day 1. I don't know. We have 5 clans that we could possibly join that are outside of the Thin Bloods. So just knowing what we know, the guy whose apartment that we were in, I think this was kind of his zone, and he is a Thin Blood, from what I understand. He was the guy from the trailer. So that means that we're going to learn a little bit more about the woman who, showed us that nice glass of wine. She had a dude playing piano music in the background. I feel like she's Toreador, but we will see, because I'm like thrown for a loop on this Thin Blood thing. Next, we've got, I'm pretty sure this is the Venture dude. I think he's a Venture. All this is throwing me for a loop, and I want to learn more about these 2 characters. A lot of people are thinking that this may be Deep Sapphire. I have my own beliefs about it, but it'll be interesting to see what that character has experienced in the World of Darkness. We got this. So this, ladies and gentlemen, hit me up in the comments down below with what you think. This is kind of like, it could be anybody. It could be it could be a Bruja, it could be a Gangrel, it could be a Nosferatu. I'm not really sure. This, I feel, is leaning towards, the Tremere, and then this right over here, I'm not entirely sure. It could be, Malkavian. It really could be Nosferatu. I'm not entirely sure. I do know that the 2 abilities that we saw in the Thin Blood, I mean, think about it. You throw Chiropteran, Glide, Bat Swarm, throw a little bit of Mist Shroud and Envelop onto, let's say a Nosferatu, and that would be fantastic. I'd love that. And if a Nosferatu had Potence, that's all I need. And Obfuscate, of course. So let me know what you guys think about the trailer. for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. What do you think about the Thin Bloods? Will you be maybe trying to make it through the game as a Thin Blood? Or what clans are you hoping get added to the list? You gotta remember, they did say that they were going to have DLC clans, so there's always that hope that a clan that you really think isn't even going to make the cut, I want the Giovanni, to come in at some point in time. Hopefully they'll make it, but tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Please be excellent to each other, and have a nice day. Peace.